a regular yoga practice. Now, that three words, regular yoga practice. Sounds so simplified that, well, anybody could do it. But it's one of those misleading terms. Sounds easy, but one of the hardest things in the world to achieve. A regular yoga practice. You see, teaching yoga isn't the same thing as maintaining a regular yoga practice. Surprisingly. And if we were to do a survey, you know what we would find? Do you know? We would find that 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000, depending on the locality, of yoga teachers practices any form of sadhana at all, be it regular or irregular. That's true. Yoga teachers, once they qualify, they're so busy, they have so many classes, they don't have time, or they don't make time for a regular yoga practice. My master Swami Satyadharma used to say, even in his time, because after he had begun to train the yoga teachers and the yoga teachers had started teaching, then he was still traveling and he used to observe them, he used to observe their lifestyle, and he used to say, the problem with the yoga teachers is that they don't have a regular sadhana. They don't practice themselves. They're just teaching. And so, although the teaching does have a certain effect on them, on their lifestyle, but still they get into trouble. They get into trouble. They have problems. They have different anxieties and stress. And that's because they do not maintain a regular yoga practice. And you see, a person who maintains a regular yoga practice has to do a lot for that. You might think, because the word sounds so simple, regular yoga practice, you might think, well, it's just so easy to do that. But in fact, to add a regular yoga practice into your life is something like having a child. You know what change a child brings into your life? You know better than me, because I haven't really had children, but I've only watched. But when you bring a child into your life, into your family, you have to begin to adjust everything in your life for that child. Is that correct? Your whole timetable has to be shifted from top to bottom and from bottom to top, isn't it? Your eating time, your sleeping time, your every time, you have no time. Adding a regular yoga practice into your life is something like that. You see, it isn't just that you add that in. For a yoga practice to be maintained every day on a regular basis, think about this, even if it is a short practice, you're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to have to make adjustments. Even if you can add a half an hour of sadhana to your day in the morning, for you to do that means you're going to have to get up a half an hour or 45 minutes or maybe 1 hour earlier. Right? Now, the optimal time to practice yoga sadhana is from 4 to 6 in the morning. Just like the young baby, you know, it wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning. What are you going to do? You going to sleep through it? No, you're going to have to readjust your whole schedule so that you can get up at 5 o'clock to feed that child without being exhausted. Am I right? Same thing with the sadhana. You're joking. Same thing with the sadhana. So, it means if you would add a half an hour sadhana to your everyday life, you're going to have to go to bed earlier. So, instead of going to bed at any time, which you may like to do, watch some movies, read some books, have some parties, you're going to have to think about, no, I've got that child at home, I can't go to this party, I can't watch the movie, I have to go to bed early so I can get up to attend my child. In the same way, I have to go to bed early so I can get up to attend my sadhana. The sadhana becomes your new child. Your new child. You have to think of it as important as that. Now again, tell me, if you eat a heavy meal late at night, how do you feel when you go to bed? How do you feel in the morning? How good is that for your child? It doesn't work. It doesn't. So you see, all those things out the window. No more parties, no more late movies, no more late meals, no more alcohol, no more smoking, no more. All these things change because you have this new child in the house, you see? And the child requires a pure environment. Isn't that right? That little child, you don't want to subject it to impurities, do you? No. So all the things in your life begin to transform the moment you take on a regular sadhana. That is something you must consider. And when it is time for you to make this shift, this is what it's going to involve. You're going to have to make some changes in your lifestyle so that you will be able to maintain this practice on a regular basis. Because the practice should be done in the early hours of the morning from 4 to 6. Next thing I want to say about the sadhana is that just as when you bring a new child into the home, you create a space for it, don't you? You don't just throw it on the floor in the living room and say, okay, you live here. Am I right? But many of us, I know, you don't have, a big, huge house where you can give the child its own separate room, but some of you may. So for those of you who may have a big living space and you can give your new child its own room, that is great. That is fantastic. You should do that. You should first prepare the room for your new child. Because isn't that what you do when a new child is coming? Before you start your sadhana, prepare the room for it and have a great time doing it too. But if you live in a small space, because some of us are not so well off, some of us may live in 1 room or 2 rooms. Is that correct? Some of us do. Okay. So what we need to do then is prepare a corner of a room for our new child. Because if we're going to have a child, we're going to have a child, no matter how big our living space is or how small. So whatever space you have, prepare a place in that space for your child. If it is a part of our room, put a little screen or a little nice decorated sheet or something to separate it from the rest of the room. Okay? Because that space is for your child. It's not for everybody to come and go into and to do all their trips in. It's not for people to listen to music in. It's not for people to go to sleep in. It's not for people to talk on the phone in. It's just for your child. It's for you to be with your child. That's all. So begin to decorate that space. Put a beautiful table. Put a flame. A flame is the most important thing in that space. A flame. Put some pictures that you love to look at, but not family. Spiritual pictures. Spiritual pictures. Not my husband, not my son, Put my spiritual, my spiritual love. Who do I love in spiritual life? It can be my spiritual teacher, it can be my Mother Mary, or it can be whoever I really love to look at spiritually. Put that. Because the things that you put in your sadhana space should attract you so that you want to be there. You want to sit there with those beings. Enlightened beings should be in your sadhana space. And whichever enlightened beings you like to be with. It could be Mother Teresa, it could be, I don't know, because for each one of you it may be very different. But don't worry, whoever you love to be with in a spiritual sense, put those pictures there. Put images there, beautiful images of the Buddha, of Jesus Christ, of whoever you can, whatever appeals to you. When you're walking in the beautiful shops and you see something that might look nice in your sadhana space, buy it. Because that's the best thing you can buy. When I go to India, I buy all kinds of things like that, put them in my sadhana room, and I fill my whole house with them, actually, because I want to live with those people now. I don't want to live with all these abstract, confusing ideas and mountaintops and everything that people put in their house. I want to live with those. So I fill my sadhana room first with them, then they overflow into my house, and that's all good. Yantras, mandalas, all these things, put those in your sadhana space. So that, and put flowers, put a beautiful, soft cushion that you can sit on and maybe do your meditation. Maybe you like to have a nice, comfortable, cozy and warm sheepskin or something. You can do your yoga nidra. It should be really cozy so that you love to go there, full of peace. You can play mantras there. You get nice mantras nowadays, beautiful kirtans and things like that. You can play those there. So this is your place of peace. If you have a peace lamp, put it there. Because that represents where you're going in sadhana, right? So you have your sadhana space. Then what will you practice? What will you practice? Many of you must be wondering, what should I practice? I'd like to have a sadhana, just give me 2 more minutes. I'd like to have a sadhana, but what should I do? I don't know what to do. I know so many practices, so which one of them should I use? Okay? I want to very quickly say that, because that might be one of your questions. Now I've cut into question and answer time. But that might have been your question. So if you have the question, what should my sadhana be? I'm answering that question for you now. Wait, let me tell this. What should be your sadhana? Because you know so many practices. So first of all, those of you who can do Surya Namaskar and who can do it comfortably. If you cannot do it comfortably, don't use Surya Namaskar. But I'm just talking now to those of you who are a little younger, a little bit more flexible, who can do Surya Namaskar comfortably. Your first sadhana could be 3 to 6 rounds of Surya Namaskar. Now, do the 3 rounds slowly, and if you do 6, do them a little faster. You can do them with breath awareness, with awareness of chakra, according to your capacity and comfort also. Because some people like to do it with chakra awareness or breath awareness, some people don't. So you have to choose what's comfortable, what you love to do, okay? This is about love. It's not about compulsion. Those of you who cannot do Surya Namaskar, you will... The people who do Surya Namaskar, after the Surya Namaskar, you relax for 2 or 3 minutes in Shavasana. Then you select 3 asanas. These 3 asanas should be amongst your repertoire of asana that you love to do. And they should be balanced asanas, and asanas that are easy for you, not difficult. Asanas that you can just flow into without too much effort. Because remember, for sadhana to be ongoing, it must become almost effortless for you. So 3 asanas chosen from amongst your repertoire of asanas that you love to do and that are easy to do and that balance each other. So there should be forward bending, backward bending, sideways bending, or twisting, or inversion. You have to choose from those sets of asanas 3. Those of you who have not chosen the Surya Namaskar to do on a daily basis, you can choose 5 asanas. 5. From amongst the series, forward, backward, sideways, twisting, and inverted. So if you choose one and one from these different series, you will get a nice combination of asana. Then, after the asana, you should relax in Shavasana for 2-3 minutes. Breath awareness. Then practice one pranayama, Nadi Shodhan pranayama, which is a balanced pranayama. However, some of you require, for particular reasons, a more activating pranayama. You may need Kapalbhati if your brain is a bit, losing its marbles, losing its memory, all these things. Kapalbhati is very useful. As we teach yoga, sometimes we begin to forget the asanas and so on, then we may need Kapalbhati. So if we need Kapalbhati, then we have to do a little bit of cooling practice afterwards. So a little bit of Brahmari, Kapalbhati Brahmari. If we do, some of us may have a little bit of stomach or a little bit of low metabolism, a little bit of slight bit of depression coming from time to time. We need Bhastrika, something more activating. But this is a personal decision which you have to know and make. As a yoga teacher, you should be competent to do that for yourself. Otherwise, you can ask advice. Which pranayama is best for me? If you do Kapalbhati or Bhastrika as your pranayama, you'll have to add a cooling or a relaxing pranayama. So probably it would be Brahmari pranayama, say. Then you could, if you're doing Nadi Shodhan alone, you could add one mudra or one bandha. So say Jalandhar Bandha or Shambhavi Mudra. So now you've got, this is your sadhana for the morning. Oh wait. That is completed, these practices are completed by 5 minutes of tratak. 5 minutes of tratak on the flame of peace. That flame of peace you should light on your puja table and it should burn there. Of course, when you go out, you may have to turn it off because of fire hazard. But you practice tratak for 5 minutes on that flame of peace. And you all know tratak, right? You practice the external tratak for 1 minute, then internal for 1 minute, external for 1 minute, and then internal and finish it off. 5 minute practice. This total practice should take you 20 minutes. Can you afford that? Can you get up for that and do that every day? Because it will change your life. It will change the place from which you start to teach. You see, sadhana is the effort to internalize your awareness and to begin to function from an internal level. I want to add to that sadhana 10 more minutes. When you come home from your yoga teaching or from your shopping or any interactions that you may have to have outside, you should go straight into your bedroom. You should take off your teaching clothes or your outside clothes, put on something comfortable, lie down on the bed, or else in your puja room, your puja space, lie down there and do 10 minutes Shavasana. 10 minutes Shavasana. That is a part of your sadhana. You have a half an hour of sadhana every day. That 10 minutes is included in it. Even if you don't go out on a specific day, then you should do that 10 minutes in the afternoon. Then there is another part of sadhana which is equally important, but it is maybe up to you. Before you go to sleep at night, for 15 minutes, I want to give you another practice. That is a practice of meditation. It is a practice of unloading all the things that you have taken in during the day. And this practice is to be done with breath awareness and the Om sound, which is the sound of peace. Om is the vibration that engenders peace. So, for 5 minutes, be aware of the breath in your abdomen. You know how your abdomen extends and then relaxes with each breath? And repeat the Om sound. Om as you inhale, Om as you exhale. Relax totally, be aware of the breath. Be aware of the sound of Om with the breath, and be aware of any thoughts that may arise in your mind. Without rejecting them, without suppressing them, just let them release. Let things come up and let them be released, but you go on with your process of Om, 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 Om for 5 minutes. Then another 5 minutes, you focus at your heart. And here the breath in the chest is going out and in and out and in. As you inhale, the chest goes out. As you exhale, the chest comes in. Om, 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 mentally. And at the same time, you are aware of the thoughts that may be arising, but you're aware of the feelings as well. The feelings that arise in your heart. Then, after 5 minutes, come to your nose tip. Come to your nose tip. And you know, you breathe through the 2 nostrils, the air goes up, and it comes to the eyebrow center. So, inhale upward from your nostrils to your eyebrow center, exhale back down from your eyebrow center to your base of your nostrils and out, with the sound Om, 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 Om for 5 minutes. Become aware of the peaceful flame at your eyebrow center. And also let thoughts come up. By the end of 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, your mind should become calm. Then focus on the flame. Just the flame, that's all, for a few moments, and end your practice. That's your evening practice, to be done before sleep. So I have given you now a very simple sadhana. There are many sadhanas, you know. There are sadhanas which go from A to Z. But I have given you, as a starter, a simple sadhana, and you can use the basis of the knowledge that you have as a yoga teacher to select the correct practices to begin your own sadhana. And I wish you all the best of luck. What kind of questions?
Yes, there is.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
pretty sure there is. Yep, we've got 10 minutes for questions. 10 minutes of questions. Thank you so much, Swami. So incredibly practical to have offered us this template for a practice, so there is no reason to hesitate tomorrow morning. Have we got some questions ready? I thought there'd be a few buzzing around. Thank you.
See, I have yet to tell you about more advanced sadhanas. There were so many things to tell you, but maybe next time.
First of all, I just wanted to thank you. I found that so inspiring. Is this on? I come from a tradition where we do a very strong asana practice.
What is your tradition?
Ashtanga self-practice, 6 days a week, and it's very repetitive, and I love the practice. But do you find that doing such a repetitive practice as beneficial as perhaps mixing it up depending on your energy and, I guess, your own vibrations on the day?
I'm very glad that she asked this question. Did you all understand the question? Did you or not?
Yes.
You see, sadhana means repetitive practice. Now, the people who were responsible for the source of the Ashtanga tradition, they were masters. They were masters. Krishnamacharya was a master. Iyengar was a master. Pattabhi Jois was a master. So they have given a sadhana actually. And the practice that you have is a sadhana. Sadhana means, please remember, a repetitive practice. I gave you an idea, a template, but once you have chosen your 3 or your 5 asanas, your 1 or your 2 pranayamas, you should stick with that. Of course, you can adjust it from time to time according to your need and capacity. If you become ill, if you have a backache, if you have some digestive problem, or if you have a fever, all these things, you require adjustments. So I'm not talking about that. There will be adjustments, times when adjustments have to be made. But sadhana means that we have gone beyond that point of dabbling, like a hobby. I mean, we have become more serious now. We are actually on the highway, on the fast lane. We are not moving off this highway for diversions. You know, there's that kind of drive where we're just out to see things and have fun, and you know, we're not really going anywhere. That's where we were before, trying out this, trying out that, and it's all, you know, very, very fun. But this isn't fun. This is going somewhere. So, I mean, it may be very fun too. I'm not saying, you know, that you should enjoy it too, but we've taken out this element of variation and trying this and trying that. That's the teacher's level, teacher's training level, where we really need to learn so many things. Now we're into sadhana, we should have a fixed practice. But you should try to add some of the elements that we have discussed also.
We have time for just one more question. Michael?
I'm wondering why we would not take... Is that coming?
No, can you stand up? You can project.
I'm wondering why we would not take that same approach of the wisdom that you're suggesting as yoga teachers to suggest that sadhana practice to our students from the very beginning rather than the stage after teaching.
No, it is a good idea from the point of view that many of us have students who have been coming for 10 to 20 years. I know a number of yoga teachers like that. Now these students should have had that suggested to them. And they should start to try and practice on their own. And they can still come for their weekly group session. But you see, what happens is that for most, at the level of practitioner, for most people in the general community, the vibrations in their home are not conducive to yoga practice on a regular basis. They have a lot of discord, a lot of negativity built up in the home, and they don't feel comfortable to practice regularly. Number two, they don't have a yoga room or a proper room where they can just do yoga and where the energy can build up for yoga, so that when they come to your yoga center or your yoga room, there's an energy built up for yoga there, you see. So they step into that energy field and then they feel to do their yoga. And then there's the group there and there's the instructor, and it's all made easy for them. To do yoga on your own at home, it requires more effort, more discipline, and willpower. Most students at that practical level don't yet have that willpower. But I think you're correct. We should talk about it and encourage, because some may have it. Some may have the necessary components to be able to put that into their life. And they may not want to become yoga teacher, but they may like to have their own sadhana. But this is why we exist in a sense. We create, you know, a place where they can come which is conducive and easy for them. That's our gift to the community, basically.
I think we could continue this conversation for a long time. Thank you. Please join me in thanking.
get into trouble, they have problems. They have different anxieties and stress, and that's because they do not maintain a regular yoga practice. And you see, a person who maintains a regular yoga practice has to do a lot for that. You might think, because the word sounds so simple, regular yoga practice, you might think, well, it's just so easy to do that. But in fact, to add a regular yoga practice into your life is something like having a child. You know, a regular yoga practice. Now, that three words, regular yoga practice. Sounds so simplified that, well, anybody could do it. But it's one of those misleading terms. Sounds easy, but one of the hardest things in the world to achieve. A regular yoga practice. You see, teaching yoga isn't the same thing as maintaining a regular yoga practice, surprisingly. And if we were to do a survey, you know what we would find? Do you know? We would find that 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000, depending on the locality, of yoga teachers practices any form of sadhana at all, be it regular or irregular. That's true. Yoga teachers, once they qualify, they're so busy, they have so many classes, they don't have time, or they don't make time for a regular. You know what change a child brings into your life? You know better than me, because I haven't really had children, but I've only watched. But when you bring a child into your life, into your family, you have to begin to adjust everything in your life for that child. Is that correct? Your whole timetable has to be shifted from top to bottom and from bottom to top, isn't it? Your eating time, your sleeping time, your every time, you have no time. Adding a regular yoga practice into your life is something like that. You see, it isn't just that you regular yoga practice. My master Swami Satyadharma used to say, even in his time, because after he had begun to train the yoga teachers and the yoga teachers had started teaching, then he was still traveling and he used to observe them. He used to observe their lifestyle, and he used to say, the problem with the yoga teachers is that they don't have a regular sadhana. They don't practice themselves. They're just teaching. And so, although the teaching does have a certain effect on them, on their lifestyle, but still they get into trouble.